We are 24 hours away, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Leading up to this point, you know, we've been mocking to death, man. We've been doing mock drafts over and over again every Friday for the past month and a half. We've been talking about players that the Vikings are going to pick. And I wanted to do this video 24 hours before the draft with my actual prediction. These are going to be three players that I believe one of these three players are absolutely going to be a Minnesota Viking tomorrow night. All right. And the first player I name, there's a possibility that he could be a Minnesota Viking as far as trading back. Okay. So the one player that I want to start out with that I actually love, man, coming out of Alabama. I know a lot of Vikings fans haven't been really raving and ranting about, but it's Jiad Campbell coming out of Alabama, though. I'm going to tell you right now, man, Jiad Campbell, this dude right here, if you think about the position, he could be used in a plethora of ways when it comes to Brian Flores' defensive scheme. We're talking about a 6'3", 244-pound dude. He had 5 sacks last season, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and 55 total solo tackles. All right, that just proves right there. And him and Dallas Turner, they've actually, they got a friendship. They've played football together, and those two together were an issue. So I think the team will value that. And I think what I mean by trade back is Jiad Campbell might be a guy, because there isn't a ton of people talking about him, that he could slide back in the draft where you may be able to trade back as the Minnesota Vikings. You may be able to trade back 2, 3, 4 spots and accumulate another late round pick at the end of the day and still get your guy, So that right there to me would be a good pickup. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad at it. Okay. Number 2 guy that I believe has a high possibility of being a Minnesota Viking is Gray Zable. All right. Now, Gray Zable, I know there's been a lot of talks that he possibly could go top 15. There's a lot of teams very interested in him. And I think one of the main reasons is the versatility there. Okay. He doesn't allow sacks, and you got to account for what type of school he played for. So there wasn't a lot of top rushers coming in at him, defensive tackles, not these 5-star type guys. But at the end of the day, he did his job, and he did it very well. And you have to give a guy his props for that. Regardless of what level of football they're playing, you still have to think about it like, okay, even though he may have played at a lower level of college football, he dominated at it. And that right there, I'm going to put weight in that. And on the top of, he's versatile. He plays center. He can play tackle if you put him there. He can play right guard. He can play left guard. I mean, it's just a guy that gives you a ton of flexibility. So I could see the Vikings, if he's there at 24, the Vikings are absolutely going to pull the trigger on Gray Zable and really solidify that offensive line. I mean, we see the talks with Blake Brandel. We know Dalton Reisner's still in the shadows. There's a possibility they bring him back, but this guy can come in right away and be a starter on your offensive line. Why not take that pick? All right. And then my final guy that I believe has a high possibility of being a Minnesota Viking. And shout out my boy Dustin from Vikes Now. He reached out to me. He said, hey, man, I'm doing predictions from Vikings fans. I gave him my prediction, and this was my prediction. This was my guy, and it's Kenneth Grant coming out of Michigan, defensive tackle. All right, Kenneth Grant, I'm telling you, big body, has speed for his size, has some nice moves on the defensive line. Now, Mason Graham, he helped them out a lot, you feel me, because a lot of teams had to focus on Mason Graham. So it allowed a guy like Kenneth Grant to succeed a little more. All right. But at the end of the day, when you watch him on tape, you can see that the talent is there, and he's definitely worthy of a first-round pick, especially when you're talking about pick 24. I mean, if the Minnesota Vikings are going to sit at 24, you got to solidify that defensive line. And the reason is because, yes, in free agency, we went and we got Hargrave and we got Jonathan Allen. But at the end of the day, those guys are older. They're veterans. They only got a year to 2 more years left in the tank, in my opinion. And you got to make sure you're getting guys behind them that can step right in and be rotational players for this season. But then eventually you hand the keys over to them. And Kenneth Grant would be a perfect fit for that right there, man. Hey, the story is this, okay? There's a better chance that the Vikings are going to go defense rather than offense. But if they go offense, I think it's going to be Gray Zable if he's there at 24. I believe he's probably at the top of their offensive player list, in my opinion. Now, this is my prediction. Y'all can drop y'all prediction down in the comments, because tomorrow we will be live and we're going to watch this. So I wanted to get my prediction video out. Now, it may sound unfair that I picked 3 players, but I had to pick 3. Man. It's so hard to really judge what the Vikings are going to do this year. No, this year just seems different. I mean, last year it seemed very obvious and clear they were going quarterback. This year, being just based on the moves they made in free agency and stuff like that, like the door is open for almost anything, to be honest with you. But I think these players right here fit the narrative, and these are the three players that I believe have the highest possibility of being a Minnesota Vikings. Now, what does that mean? What RAP? I'm not Stephen A. Smith. I'm not Mel Kiper. I'm just RAP. But let's see if I get it right. You never know. Maybe my status can go up after I get one of these right. You feel me? Let's go, man. Drop it down in the comments. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Holla at your boy.
Yeah, smooth summer, who running? I hear them talking, but they ain't gon' do nothing. Celebration, I might have a toast with you. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great, I'm terrific. We ain't taking no losses, we winning. Undefeated, check the percentage.